But we're going to move on, Mark, and we are going to move away from the draft and to NFL coaching. And the reason why we're talking about coaching is Sean Payton and the New Orleans Saints have agreed to a 5-year extension that will take Payton through the year 2020 with New Orleans. And I'm just going to come out and say it and be frank. Was this the right move?
I like how you say, I'm going to come out and say it and be frank, and then you ask me a question. I kind of don't get it. I mean, you have a team that has been fairly mediocre for a while now. Everyone was just talking about how Sean Payton's out the door. He's gone. The last time they did well was 2013. 2014 and 2015 both were bad. They were not good seasons. Your team hasn't looked good in a while. Your quarterback, who kind of has been the champion, he's hurt.
Now I'm going to get to the quarterback in a second.
Or he's old. Let's remember that, too. You're going to have to draft somebody new. Hope it works out well. Or hope you got somebody on the roster already, but that's not the case. You also have that defense, which has not been anywhere near as good since you were told you're not allowed to go anywhere near this team for a year. Ever since basically the Bounty Gate scandal, this defense has been nothing. And I just don't really see it, because Drew Brees is always going to be great. Drew Brees will always put points up there. He will always lead this team, but it's going to end eventually. And I when you ask, are you giving credit to Sean Payton or Drew Brees, part of me wants to give a lot more credit to Drew Brees. And that defense is bad.
Let's be honest. When Drew Brees came to New Orleans, Sean Payton in New Orleans didn't know what they were getting.
Yeah.
Because Drew Brees wasn't the Drew Brees you're seeing right now, and I'm more speaking to the youngsters out there, the youngins who are like, what are you talking about? Drew Brees is a great player. Drew Brees was not always that player. He wasn't that good when he was with the Chargers, and the Chargers eventually got rid of him thinking, hey, we won this trade, and then, oh shit, Drew Brees won a Super Bowl over Peyton Manning, and we can't beat Peyton Manning in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Let alone Peyton, we can't beat Tom in the playoffs.
That's true. And he wasn't necessarily terrible. We don't want to give that impression. He wasn't terrible.
No, but he wasn't the Drew Brees that we have seen.
He didn't win a Super Bowl. He wasn't a Super Bowl winning quarterback,
he wasn't a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And I'm looking at the records, and I mean, you say 2013 was the last time they were good. Let's be honest, that like between 2010, 11, and 13, the 3 years, because 2012 Peyton didn't coach that year. Those 3 years, they ran into the Seahawks, the Niners, and the Seahawks. Virtually two of the best teams in the NFC at that time. And then that 2009 year was their Super Bowl championship year when they went 13-3. However, back-to-back 7-9 teams, and this is what I think. Drew Brees is getting old. He's 37. He's got one more year this year, and then he becomes an unrestricted free agent. And I know that Drew Brees has said that he's hopeful that a deal with the Saints is still in reach. Like he told ESPN 104.5 radio in Baton Rouge, he goes, I've got obviously a very strong relationship with the Saints, so talks are ongoing, and I don't know if that is something that will be done next week or before the end of the year or next year or when. But obviously I want to be a Saint for the rest of my career, and I think I've got a lot of good years left. I disagree with that last part. I don't think you have a lot of good years left. Who do you think you are, Tom Brady? Do you think you're going to play till you're 50?
Well, he's definitely not Peyton Manning. We can put that to rest. He's not Peyton Manning because his numbers haven't dropped off yet. I mean, he's been doing great. If anything, you can say he had a better season last year than he's probably had in a little while.
You could say, well, Ricky, look at who he's been throwing the ball to. Benjamin Watson and Willie Snead were his top receivers last year. And I know Brandon Cooks too, but he hasn't had that number one wide receiver since Colston's A-Day. I get that. The thing with Brees I'm getting at is he's getting older and not younger.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, the drop-off will come. It's a matter of when it's going to show up. It might happen next year. It might happen the year after that. It might happen in 5 years. We're not really sure with that. All we know is we don't have the drop-off yet. I mean, he's been, just if you want to look at he did not play a game. The only one game that Drew Brees didn't play last year. But he had just as good, if not better, of a season than he's had, in most recent memory. I would say that Drew Brees possibly could continue to play for 3-4 more years. But you just don't really know when a guy is 37 years old, at what point is his body not going to bounce back? Is he not going to be able to do it anymore because it's just going to give out, and then he's hurt, and then what do you have? You have Luke McCown or Garrett Grayson? That's horrible.
Luke McCown. I wish they'd give me a chance. I wish these
He got his chance.
I wish these backup generators could know what they could do. I bet they could do some really good things if they just got a chance.
I bet they could do some really completely average pedestrian things.
And Drew
if they got their chance.
Brees, where you're sitting, well, Ricky's 37, is going to turn 38. He just turned 37 this year. Actually, I just found out by looking at Wikipedia, Drew Brees' birthday is 2 days before mine.
Nice.
January 15th for Drew Brees.
You guys should hang out sometime.
I would love to hang out. Drew, if you're listening, I mean, this is your invitation. Come over whenever you want. We can have some of my mom's meatloaf, some pretty good meatloaf. But the thing with Drew Brees is I feel like I kind of agree with you. 40 could be the age for him. But this is Sean Payton's contract. Like, this is the one where it's like, well, you get to go with Drew. Because if you think about it, Sean Payton's contract takes him through the year 2020. And what does that do for Drew Brees? If they can get a deal done, and really it's going to come down to money. How much are you willing to pay Drew Brees? And the way I think is the Saints don't want to pay him as much as he's going to be making a base salary of $19.75 million this year with a signing bonus of $7.4 million, a workout bonus, and a restructured bonus. That's a ton of money. In his cap hit's going to be $30 million this year. And they're going to try to get that down, but if they can, they're only going to do a contract for 17, 18, 19. They're only going to do a 4-year extension.
Yeah.
They're only going to do a 4-year extension for Drew Brees because that'll take him 17, he's 38, 18, he's 39, in 19, he's 40. Actually, no, screw that 4th year. He's only playing 3 more years.
The thing for the Saints that's difficult is Drew Brees is a bright spot, obviously. He's great. The run game is bad. The defense is bad. You keep dedicating money this way, you got to improve the running game and the defense. But we got to remember, of course, to get Nick Fairley. That's pretty good. You're happy about that.
1-year deal.
Yep. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens because I don't think it's hard to believe that Drew Brees has one more Super Bowl in him. I don't think that's hard to believe at all. The man definitely has another Super Bowl chance in him. But is the rest of the Saints going to be ready for that? And Sean Payton has let this team kind of fall apart a little bit.
Well, and there's also one huge elephant in the room you have yet to bring up. The Panthers are dominant.
Yeah.
If the Panthers are half as good as they were this past year, the Saints may not make the playoffs with the rest of the teams in the NFC, because I look around the NFC and it's one of those things where besides maybe the NFC East, we have teams. I feel like the NFC North could have 2 playoff teams, maybe even 3 with Jordy Nelson coming back and the moves that the Bears have made. You have the NFC West, who is almost guaranteed 2 playoff teams in the Cardinals and the Seahawks. So if we just go 4 division winners, that's 4 teams, and let's just say 1 from the North, 1 from the West, that means the Saints have to dethrone the Panthers this year to make the playoffs.
Yeah. Their options are win their division or squeak by the second team in the NFC North. essentially.
Not even that. I mean, well, you're saying okay
Because
I'm going to
the second team in the North is probably going to be the 6th seed.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm going to say it, and I know this is a complete different discussion, and I'm just going to say it to say it, though.
I know you love your Vikings.
No, I feel like the NFC North is going to be that's going to be the best NFC division to watch next year. Because, and I mean, injuries can happen. Look what happened to Jordy Nelson. But just by getting Jordy Nelson back, the Packers are already back to full strength. The Vikings, look what they did this past year. And the Bears, I'll give the Bears credit. They made their team, so far they have made their team better, and they're going to get Kevin White for his rookie season. So, to me, I say 3-dog race for 2 spots between the Bears, Vikings, and Packers.
It's possible, and John Fox teams...
I'm sorry, Lions fans.
John Fox teams traditionally in their second year go to the playoffs.
That's why Mike Rankin,
the Super Bowl.
Mike Rankin from Behind the Pen says the Bears are going to go to the playoffs.
Yeah, so who knows? I'm not holding out hope, but who knows? As the resident Bear fan, I'm not holding any hope here. But yeah, it's just going to be tough for the Saints. And I mean, we saw it with Tom Coughlin, the guy who can never be fired, got fired. Mm-hmm. Sean Payton was in the same situation where it's a guy
No, wait. He resigned.
Yeah, he resigned. He was kindly allowed the ability to resign.
He resigned and then wouldn't fucking leave.
He resigned, wouldn't leave, and then complained about resigning. So that was cool. But, I mean, you have that. I mean, actually, you know what? Let me stop for a moment and say that the Washington Redskins and the New York Giants both have a real shot, too. Uh-huh. So every division has 2 teams competing. Obviously, injuries are going to happen, things like that. So it's not easy for anybody to do this. And you have a thing like the New York Giants where a guy gets dethroned, a guy who can't be fired gets fired. So why couldn't Sean Payton be the same? Why? What makes Sean Payton different? The last 2 years haven't proved him to do anything that great. If anything, you've just kind of not managed the team.
And I mean, I'm Saints fans, before you get furious, and you probably have already typed in the comment section, I'm not saying your team's going to be bad next year. I mean, I'm looking at your free agents. You got Craig Robinson, linebacker that used to be with the Browns. Kobe Fleener's now going to be a Saint. Mm-hmm. They signed Laurinaitis and Nick Fairley away from the LA Rams, and well, those 2 were just kind of let go by the Rams because the Rams are like, hey, you know what? Hard knocks. We don't need anybody. But they have made signings. The big thing that's going to stand in the Saints' way is the Cardinals. I mean, if Carson Palmer gets injured, then okay, the Saints can make the playoffs. But the Cardinals, the second team in the North, and then your own division. Mm-hmm. Especially those Panthers, because they were hella good last year.
Yeah, they were. So I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily think it's I think we've been fairly negative, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that Sean Payton gets to come back.
No,
and keep consistency.
In the end, I'll say that this contract is this extension is basically you know what, Sean? We're going to hopefully give you the last 3 years of Drew Brees' career, and then hopefully get the answer and see what you can do with another quarterback for your last year.
Yeah, it's more of, can the organization as a whole rebuild that defense to give Drew Brees something to work with? Because if they had a good defense, this team could have beaten the big guys for sure, with Drew Brees running as well as he was with mediocre talent.
Because I'll be honest, after everything that happened to the city of New Orleans, Sean Payton was a shot in the arm for that city, for just bringing life to that city. And just because of 2 7-9 seasons, you might not wanted to have gotten rid of him.
Yeah,
and that's by this contract.
The only thing that bugs me, though, I mean, I do get bugged a little bit with 2 7-9 seasons and a 5-year extension.
Maybe it should have been like I could have seen a 3-year extension. Mm-hmm. You know what? Here's 3 years. We're going to work out a deal with Drew to get him a 3-year extension, so both you can finish out your time together in New Orleans. He'll retire, and then you will see how you do in those 3 years.
And then we'll tell you, hey, it sure would be a good time to retire. Don't you want to go golf with Tom?
But just like the first topic we talked about, Let us know down below what you guys think in the comment section.